Hey everybody, it's Jacob from Piano by Pictures, and today we're gonna switch things up a bit. I found 2 recordings of some jazz legends playing the same song and brought them to Dr. Kelly to get his take on their technique and also the mindset behind playing jazz piano. I found this conversation incredibly informative, and I hope that you do too. So without further ado, here's Piano Professor Reacts to Jazz Legends.
Hey, Dr. Kelly.
Hey, Jacob, how's it going?
It's going good. How you doing?
Doing good, man. I've been enjoying the lessons you've been dishing out to the community. They're awesome. So tell us about what we're doing today.
All right. So I have scoured YouTube for the best recordings that I could find of jazz piano greats playing Autumn Leaves. I thought it would be fun to take everybody's first jazz song and then kind of see how 2 greats play it. So I've got a Bill Evans video for you today, and I have an Oscar Peterson video. And I wanted to get your opinion on kind of just like what's going on in those videos, and then how would us normal human beings go about trying to achieve something even close to this. I think this will be a fun one. I'm excited to hear your opinions.
Cool, let's check it out.
So here's Bill.
Hear those thirds? Interesting how he went from like the chordal in the beginning to the B section to now he's back to chords.
I think it's nice to give your bass player the first solo too.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I like it because I always like the piano solo the best, and I think it kind of crescendos into it, you know. But that's just because I'm a piano player. Don't get offended, bass players. Whoo, shoo.
I'm gonna run that back. Is he doing 3 fingers here?
It's always harder, a little bit harder to hear the end of the form, I think.
Yeah, he gave us a little bit of the melody right there to remind us where we are.
Exactly.
Just in time.
There he is again. Jeez. Ooh.
Yeah, good sequence there.
Good sequence. Now he's giving us a rest by sticking out one note.
Yeah, almost like the Nat King Cole thing. Rain in the band.
Yep. Jeez. Ooh. What was that, like a triplet over the 2? Right there, too. Taking the melody and he's like elongating it, so it's like a hemiola over the actual melody of the rhythm. It's really cool.
Yeah, in a different recording he does like a big 5-lit. So his time is crazy.
Yeah.
There's your thirds again.
Yeah, and he's not legato in his thirds. He's very da 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 da. Well, he's a master. That's definitely not what Autumn Leaves sounded the first time I played it, or what it sounds like today. That's just incredible.
I've probably practiced Autumn Leaves regularly for 5 years now, you know, in different keys. It's a good jazz warm up, you know, just a bunch of 2/5s, but yeah, I need to practice more. clearly.
2/5s, doesn't stray too far from the key. He does a lot of like really cool, quick, like chromatic sequences. I think a lot of tritone subs, if you're familiar with that term, like flat twos. That's what it sounds. That's my guess. I actually don't know, but that would be my guess. That'd be the first thing I would try if I was trying to transpose that thing.
Yeah, and then he's so confident with using those tiny little shell voicings in his left hand, where just the thirds and the sevenths moving around. So he only needs to give you like just enough of the structure in that left hand, and then just like lets the right hand go crazy. And obviously has, a bunch of support from the band. The drum and bass player on that recording are super good. And I also like how they complement each other, especially towards the end. Like you can tell they've played with each other a lot because they hit all those hits together. And a lot of people think of jazz like, oh, it's just like all improvised and stuff. And it's just, there's moments of improvisation, but I think it's within the shell. Like you listen to different recordings and he kind of does that thing a lot, and does a lot of those rhythmic hits the same way. So there's obviously some planning happening there. It's not just like, oh, we'll play whatever, there's some calculated things happening.
Yeah, absolutely. There's like licks that he does and there's variations of those. And, and then there's ways that they've practiced it. I bet you if you listen to them play at different times, in different clubs, different recordings, whatever of that same, that you would find similarities in like where they have rhythmic hits. Because once you find something sweet, you gotta milk it.
Yeah, and on the other hand too, it's just kind of like, well, this works.
Yeah.
Let's not reinvent the wheel.
Absolutely.
The next one I want to show you is Oscar Peterson, and this one hurt my feelings because he's, we'll talk about the speed because that's obviously something that is going to be at play here.
Oscar Peterson makes you want to quit piano. You're like, when you listen to Oscar Peterson, you're not sure if you want to quit or like practice for days. It's one or the other. It's one or the other.
I oscillate between being very inspired and an impending sense of doom and inadequacy. So the funny thing, though, with this one too, Autumn Leaves in the real book is in the key of G, and nobody plays it in the key of G. So Bill just did it in B flat, and he tends to do it in B flat on other recordings. And he's about 210 to 230 BPM throughout that recording. Oscar's pushing like 320 BPM in this one, and he's in A flat, which makes it even more ridiculous. So I just kind of wanted to talk about that before I start. Like, he just like took the difficulty settings and turned them up a little bit for no reason other than he's just Oscar Peterson.
A flat's definitely, that would definitely scare me if I was at a gig and they were like, maybe not Autumn Leaves. I feel like I could do it, a decent crappy job playing Autumn Leaves, but if it was a hard tune, it was an A flat, I'd be like, shoot.
Can we move this to F, please?
Yeah, right. Or B flat. B flat's good too.
Yeah, B flat's a good jazz key.
Yep. It's just one you're used to playing in.
Here's the big man himself. Here's Oscar playing Autumn Leaves.
Here's the head. And it's still kind of the head. It's still kind of... I love when he gets stuck on a theme like that.
Yeah, that's also kind of a Nat King Cole thing too.
There he does it again. Man.
I bet that dude's handshake goes crazy.
There he is again. Oh, there's some stride.
Yeah, 350 BPM stride. Fine.
Octaves with some... See, that looks like really choreographed to me. Like that was Like, I bet he does that the same.
Yeah, the bass players matches it perfectly too.
Yep. I love it. It's so good. So one thing that that I think is interesting about like what makes his playing like so virtuosic. It's just like watching that made me think about that. Something that one of my teachers said in my undergrad is that like good virtuosity or good fast playing has these little pockets of air between the notes. Have you ever heard this before?
No, but I sort of have this intuition of your playing gets really soupy if you don't get off of the keys fast enough.
He gets off of the keys very fast. So like in between all that, like part of what makes it sound so virtuosic isn't just the speed in which he's playing, but it's also these like little tiny pockets of air that he has in between each of the notes that make each of the notes speak. Right. Mm-hmm. So the notes aren't getting in each other's way. It's kind of like the opposite if you're playing like something very slow and legato in a ballad or something. Like a lot of times you like will blend. If you're familiar with like the Ravel piano concerto, the famous second movement, that melody that the piano plays, it's like blended. Like you're like hanging on to the first note before you go on to the next note. You hang on to it after a while. But like I feel like the faster the playing gets, if it's done well like that, it has these like little, and it doesn't matter if it's that or if it's like a Bach prelude. You'll hear some of the the virtuosos, great virtuosos do that. And Oscar Peterson is just phenomenal. Just amazing.
So do you have any advice for our viewers on how to get their fingers off of the keys quickly?
Yeah. So I talk a lot about in the Piano by Pictures like Academy and live events, just about like finger independence. I think that's a function of finger independence. And I believe there's a video we can link in the description that talks about finger independence, where I'll take you through some exercises. So finger independence is like the first thing I would do. And then I would, obviously like scales and arpeggios, that's just kind of like the basis for getting the notes. I'm not going to try and be like Oscar Peterson and like, unless you're, in the 0.00001%, both drive, ambition, talent, everything. That's okay if you're not there. But I do believe
that's a very good point too. It's like you can be very successful piano player and not be Oscar Peterson, and it's fine.
Yeah.
Like you just, you don't have to be him, and because he's him, and we just get to watch and be like, wow.
Right. He's just one of those, I think he's like once in a generation, because even Bill Evans, like who I love and we listen to, if I were to compare them, I would say that Bill Evans is he's a little bit more like his skill and his like allure is like in the etherealness of his harmony, of his voicings. I think that's what makes him like, I think his voicings are very, very thought through, how he comps. I study the way he comps a lot. If I could choose between them, I would comp like Bill Evans, and I would solo and be a virtuoso like Oscar. And Bill Evans isn't quite to Oscar's level in that.
Agreed.
In that sense, yeah. But like you said, it doesn't have to be, right? But he's his own phenomenon in his own way.
I think that's an important thing too. It's just there's a lot of value in different things that you can approach in music, and like everybody kind of has their own thing. So where we listen to Oscar for, the virtuosity, and I would even say the joy. He just seems to have so much fun playing, and I have so much fun listening to him. Bill Evans is more if I'm driving in a car on a rainy night.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that's important too. It's just different ways of approaching the piano can suit different people in different situations. And it's, we don't want to say one is necessarily better than the other. They both have their
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And sometimes, so with the Bill Evans thing, like I think if Bill Evans had tried to have been Oscar Peterson, it wouldn't necessarily work. It's sometimes it's better to like go after being unique or different, or just like approach something. And I think actually Piano by Pictures is an example of that. I definitely don't think I'm the best piano teacher in the world. Not even close. Like I've had some great piano teachers. There's a whole history of piano teachers I've read about and what they've been able to accomplish with their students. But what we've tried to do at Piano by Pictures is just create something completely unique, like something different that doesn't exist in the market in the world. And so we wanted to approach it a totally different way that is mostly good for beginner adults, is like who we found that it works the best for. And I think for them, it is the best in the world. It is the perfect fit. It's not necessarily the best for everybody. Like, it's not, if you want to be a professional musician and, you know, play Carnegie Hall, it's not going to be for you, and that's okay. Because there's ways to study the piano like that. So just to parallel, bring it back to Piano by Pictures.
What I've noticed I've been in the trenches of the Facebook group to try to kind of just meet with the students and get on their level. And what I've noticed that I think is really cool is that bring it back into this whole idea of jazz. It's like you have a song, and for it to be the song, you got to play the melody, or at least in Oscar's case, like reference the melody. You got to play the chords, and you can change up the chords as long as they support that melody nicely. And so I like the format because it's just like, here's the melody, here's the chords. And if you just want to just do that, that's fine. But then here's all these other ways you can be creative. If you're a classical fan, then, you know, you can do the classical left-hand patterns. If you're a gospel fan, you can walk that bass. If you're a jazz fan, you can throw some 2/5s in there or something. But like the song is sort of like, it's here, and you can kind of make it your own. And I think that's really important because most music is like not written down and is not strict. Like probably 99% of the music that existed on Earth is just people playing music, you know, just taking a song, playing it your way. You know, I think you've empowered people to do that. Just here's a song, play it your way. Here's Amazing Grace. You can do it however you want.
That's cool. Yeah. And that's actually a parallel I've never thought about before between Piano by Pictures and jazz. Is jazz, you have like a lead sheet, which is you have the melody and you have the chords. And because everything is dictated exactly what you're supposed to do and the way you're supposed to do it, there's a lot of freedom for creativity. And I think Piano by Pictures does that too. It creates freedom in the simplistic nature of it. It creates all kinds of possibilities and freedom as opposed to playing like a Bach prelude. Like there's still freedom. There's freedom with time. There's freedom with expression and freedom like that, but less. There's definitely a lot more ways to do it wrong, right? So
yeah, for sure. And even if you do it right, but just do it too differently, then, you know, you're like Glenn Gould, and then everybody gets upset because you ruined Brahms, and it's
right.
It's he's just like, nah, I'm just doing my own thing, man.
Right. Yeah. It's like I'm exactly. I'm taking Brahms and I'm making it Glenn Gould.
Yeah, Gouldifying it. Yeah.
Cool, man. Well, this has been great. I've enjoyed watching these. I think and you know, anybody who wants to check out Oscar Peterson or Bill Evans, anybody in our community or anybody watching this, we'd recommend, like, those are rabbit holes that are worth diving into. And if you haven't checked out Piano by Pictures and want to learn how to play the piano, that's a great rabbit hole to dive into as well.
Have any more closing thoughts or anything?
I don't think so. Happy practicing, and I think we said what we needed to say. Happy practicing, and keep at it.
All right. Well, thanks for your time. This has been very enlightening.
Thanks, Jacob. See ya.
I hope you found this conversation as informative as I did. If you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the comments, and like and subscribe. Also, we have a free book offer going on right now, so click the link in the description if you want some free books. And as always, happy practicing.